leave the Bible alone. Just leave the Bible alone. If you don't want to believe the prophecies by the prophets, leave the Bible alone. You don't have no business talking about it, messing with it, worrying about what's real and what's fake, because you don't want to believe the prophecy. Yahushua, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ, he said in Matthew 5:17, he did not come to destroy the prophets. He did not come to destroy the prophets. Acts 2:17 tells you that in the last days, the children shall understand the prophets and see the vision, to see and understand what those prophets were saying in those prophecies. Amos 3:7, it says the Lord would do nothing. He wouldn't make one single move unless he revealed what those prophets wrote in their prophecies. He would do nothing unless he revealed it. And he was going to reveal it to the prophets, to the sons and the daughters. Who were these sons and daughters? Joel chapter 2. It say these sons and daughters will get the Spirit poured on them. The next chapter, or in the next paragraph that Joel wrote, he said these were the children that were sold to the Grecians. These were the children of slaves. Children of slaves that were sold to the Grecians. Sold by the Tyre, the Hamites, and Zidon, and the Palestine, the Arabs. These were the children that was going to be sold. They was going to get the Spirit poured out on them. And Joel chapter 2 and Acts chapter 2, it said that these children was going to be bondman and bondwoman. These are the people that was going to get the Spirit poured out on them. And what was the Spirit going to tell them in the prophecies? It was going to tell them the prophecy in Psalms 149, that they would bind the kings in chains. All the heathens, all the non-Israelites would be bound in chains. Their kings, meaning that they wouldn't have a kingdom. What did Daniel, from the tribe of Judah, from the top tribe, he said that all these kings, what Daniel 2:44, all these kings, meaning the heathens, will be broken into pieces and consumed forever. That the kingdom wouldn't go to any other people other than the Israelites. What did Isaiah 2:2 say? That all the nations will say, let's go to the Israelites to get the law and the word of God. What did Zechariah 14 say? Every year they will have to go to Jerusalem, to the Israelites, and observe the Feast of Tabernacle. And if they wouldn't go, they was going to get a punishment when no rain would come into their homeland. Because the Israelites was going to be like the Persians. They're going to allow individuals to go back to their homeland, because this is what God purposed for these nations to be in different lands. And for him to have a holy land with a holy people, a separate land with a separate people unto himself. Like the Levites. Out of the 12 tribes, he chose the Levites. He didn't choose all the tribes to be the priests. He chose the Levites to be the priests. He deals with hierarchy. It's a hierarchy in nations. And he said he gonna choose in Daniel 4:17, he gonna choose the basis, the lowest, the worst of the heathens to rule over the Israelites for this last kingdom. And that's what we're dealing with now. This nation that's ruling now is the base of the nation. And they came out of the womb. They came out of the womb with Jacob. They was fighting with Jacob. And he separated them to make them to be a different nation. Genesis 25 and 23. He said they was going to be two nations. It was two nations in thy womb. One was going to be stronger than the other. This base nation was going to be weak, a weak nation. That's why in the blessing that he gave to this base nation, he gave them a blessing of the sword in Genesis 27 and 40 because they was going to need that weapon because they was a weak nation. They was the worst of the heathen. And when he come back, he's going to go to war with them. That's Revelation 19 and 19. He's going to come back and go to war with the kings of the earth and the beast, the worst of the nations, the beast that's ruling over all these kingdoms. What's that? Revelation 17 and 18. He's going to war with these nations. And so this is the prophecies. See, Christianity want to say that they're going to draft in other nations when these other nations have a punishment. When you go to Jeremiah 25, it shows you all the names of the nation that has a punishment from God. They're going to have a punishment like the children of Israel had a punishment to go into slavery, to go into captivity. It simply, plainly explains this. I'll punish my people. But don't think you other nations gonna go unpunished. And he named every last one. Edom, Amalek, Hamites, Arabs, Chinese, Moabites, Ammonites, any kind of nation outside of the nation of Israel who went into slavery, you gonna have to go into slavery too. Don't think that you're gonna go unpunished. See, Jeremiah 25, it debunks all of this stuff about he gonna forgive something because it is prophecy. He says it's gonna be slain peoples from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. Was not the Native American slain in this land, almost exterminated? Wasn't the descendants of slaves from the west coast of Africa, wasn't they almost exterminated? One of the islands in Puerto Rico and all of these islands, killing Christopher Columbus almost exterminated these people. They was being slain by their enemies. What's that? Leviticus 26. He said if they disobey, they're going to be slain before their enemies. And he going to put over them terror. That's what he did to the nation of Israel. That's what the so-called blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans is going through. They being terrorized by all the other nations. And especially the worst of the nations who is ruling now. Then he told them in Jeremiah 50, 51 and 20, he said that the nation of Israel was going to be his battle axe and his weapons of war to destroy and break into pieces all the kingdoms. How is that prophecy going to happen if he draft in the kingdoms? If he draft in the peoples of the kingdom who don't believe none of the prophecies, who only believe in the Christianity, because Christianity don't believe in none of the prophecies. Only thing they thinking about is a rapture. They're not thinking about that they going to have to get punished for the crimes that they done did. See, in Psalm 17 and 13, the Lord was using these nations as a sword, as a weapon. So he was using them as a weapon, and they was steady killing people, and he wasn't punishing them for this. He was punishing the nation of Israel. This was their punishment. What's that? Lamentations chapter 4 verse 21 and 22. The punishment of the daughter of Zion is over, has been accomplished. You see? But people need to leave the Bible alone. Just leave it alone. Like he said in Lamentation 4 and 20. Or I think, 4 and 20. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. See, all these heathens, rejoice and be glad while you can. Enjoy your time, because you ain't gonna have no time in the kingdom to come to be ruling. Your rulership is gonna be over. This is your last rulership. And so the prophecies dictate what's going on. What Revelation 19 and 10, I think, that the spirit of prophet, the testimony of Yahushua, is the spirit of prophecy. That's his testimony. What he said in Matthew 5 and 17, he came to fulfill. He didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets. He came to fulfill prophecy. That's why he came the first time. He gonna come the second time to fulfill prophecy. The testimony of Yahushua, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ, is to fulfill prophecy. If you don't want to believe in prophecy, leave the Bible alone. Go have your fun and do whatever you want to do. This is your time to do whatever you want to do. Because when he come, you're going to have to obey that law if you ain't being put to death. If he spare you and put you into slavery, you're going to have to obey that law. That you say, oh, the law is done away with. You're going to have to obey that law. See? And you're going to have to get that law from the Israelites, from the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that you've been enslaving for how long, who knows how long. Now I'm going to leave it there. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders pushing the truth, peace to the elect worldwide. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.